These are the solutions to the teacher-created problems on test 2. We need these formulas for these questions, for consumer surplus and producer surplus. The demand for a product is given by P equals 375 minus 3Q squared. Find the consumer surplus. The formula is here in this yellow. It's the integral from 0. This Q is the first coordinate here. That's Q comma P. It's the integral from 0 to 10 of the demand function given 375 minus 3Q squared dq, and then minus P times Q. These two numbers are Q and P. So P times Q is 75 times 10. Distribute the integral symbol. The integral of 375 dq, so we also distribute the dq, minus the integral of 3q squared dq. After this minus sign in the formula, we just have 750. The integral of dq is q, so 375q minus the integral of q squared dq is q to the third over 3, but there's that 3 in front there. And before I wrote this minus 750, I should put this bracket here with the 0 and 10 attached. So everywhere there's a q, we put 10. 375 times 10 minus, these 3's cancel. The q is getting replaced with 10. Q cubed becomes 10 cubed. The other number is a 0, and both of these will be 0 when both terms will be 0 when q is replaced with 0. So I don't have to write that down because they're 0. 375 times 10 is 3750. Then we have minus 10 to the third, that's 1000. And we still have that minus 750 from the formula. And 3750 minus 1000 minus 750 is 2000. So $2,000 is the answer. $2,000 is the consumer surplus in this problem. The next question is asking for the producer surplus. We start with P times Q. This is Q and this is P. So P times Q is 105 times 5. And we have minus the integral from 0 to Q. Q is the first coordinate. We need the integral of the supply function, which is Q squared plus 4Q plus 60. And then we need dq. $105 times 5 is 525. Now we have to be very careful with this minus sign here. I'll ignore it for a minute. This integral gets distributed, so it's the integral of q squared dq plus the integral of 4q dq plus the integral of 60 dq. The integral of q squared dq is q to the third over 3. copy the plus, copy the 4. The integral of q dq is q squared over 2. Copy the plus, copy the 60. The integral of dq is q. And we put a bracket here with 0 and 5 attached. So this minus means whatever result we get here, we're going to subtract that. That'll be some number we'll get in a bit. The final answer to this is going to be 525 minus whatever number we get here. And what we do here is replace every q with 5. So 5 to the third over 3 plus, here we have 4 over 2, so we'll just write 2, replace q with 5. So q squared becomes 5 squared plus 60 times 5. And the other number is 0. Each of these terms will be 0 when q is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 0. So it's really all of this minus 0. So 525 minus whatever number that comes out to be. 5 to the third, 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. That's 125 over 3 plus 25 times 2 is 50 plus 60 times 5 is 300. We're going to convert everything in the parentheses to something over 3. 125 over 3. 50, the whole number 50 is the same as 150 over 3. And 300 is a whole number. It's the same as 900 over 3. You can do all of this on a calculator if you want to, but anyway, almost done here. 125 plus 150 plus 900 is 1175. That's 1175 over 3. The 525, let's change that to something over 3. 525 times 3 is 1575. 1575 minus 1175 is 400. And 400 over 3, that means 400 divided by 3 is to the nearest cent, $133.33. Demand for a product is given, supply is given. Equilibrium is when the demand and the supply are equal. Q minus 5 squared is equal to Q squared plus Q plus 3. Q minus 5 squared is the same as Q squared minus 10Q plus 25. That's Q minus 5 times Q minus 5. Copy the other side. So now I'm going to write the negative 10Q. The plus Q moving to the other side of the equal sign becomes minus Q. That means minus 1Q. The other side of the equal sign has a positive 3, and we'll move 25 over. Positive 25 moving to the other side of the equal sign becomes negative 25. The Q squareds cancel. I can subtract Q squared from both sides of the equal sign. Negative 10Q and negative 1Q is negative 11Q. And 3 minus 25 is negative 22. Divide both sides by negative 11. So Q equals 2. The first coordinate of the equilibrium point is Q. To get the second coordinate, we replace Q with 2 in either one of these. Replace either Q with 2. So P equals 2 minus 5 squared. 2 minus 5 is negative 3, and negative 3 squared is positive 9. So 2, 9 is the equilibrium point. The Q goes first, then the 9. To find the consumer surplus, we're going to evaluate the integral from 0 to Q. Q is 2. We're going to get the integral of the demand function, which is Q squared minus 10Q plus 25. That's the demand function. Then we have dq, and then after the minus sign, it's p times q, which is in this example 9 times 2. So q squared minus 10q plus 25, that's what you get when you multiply q minus 5 by itself. Distribute the integral symbol. The integral of the first term, that's q squared dq, minus the integral of 10q dq, plus the integral of 25 dq. And all of this will be minus 9 times 2. The integral of q squared dq is q cubed over 3. Copy the minus, copy the 10. The integral of q dq is q squared over 2. Copy the plus, copy the 25. Integral of dq is q. Bracket, and this is 0 to 2. Don't forget minus 18. All the q's are going to be replaced with 2. 2 cubed over 3 minus, here we have 10 over 2, so we can write 5. Replace q with 2 squared plus 25 times 2. The number here is a 0, and each term will be 0 when q is 0. 0 minus 0 plus 0. So we don't have to write that. Two cubed is 8, so 8/3 minus 2 squared is 4. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 50 minus 18. Let's make everything over 3. 8 over 3 minus 20 is the same as 60 over 3. 50 is the same as 150 over 3. And 18 times 3. So 18 is the same as 54 over 3. So I'm going to calculate 8 minus 60 plus 150 minus 54. That's 44 over the common denominator. 44 over 3 means 44 divided by 3. To the nearest cent, 44 divided by 3 is $14.67. The producer surplus is P times Q. That would be 9 times 2. P times Q minus the integral from 0 to Q, so that's from 0 to 2, of the supply function. That's Q squared plus Q plus 3 dq. The supply function is given. The integral gets distributed, so the integral of Q squared dq plus the integral of Q dq plus the integral of 3 dq. The integral of Q squared dq is Q cubed over 3 plus the integral of Q dq is Q squared over 2. Copy the plus. 3, the integral of dq is Q. We put a bracket here with 0 and 2. So 2 will replace all of the q's. 2 cubed over 3 plus 2 squared over 2 plus 3 times 2. Replacing q with 0 will make each term 0. 0 plus 0 plus 0. So don't have to write that. 2 to the third is 8, so 8 thirds plus 2 squared is 4, but 4 divided by 2 is 2, plus 6. Let's make all of these thirds. 8 thirds plus 2 is the same as 6 thirds, and 6 is 18 thirds. 8 plus 6 plus 18 is 32. So this is 32 thirds. But at the beginning of this formula, for producer surplus, we have P times Q. So it's 18 minus whatever that came out to be. So we have to calculate 18 minus 32 thirds. 18 times 3 is 54. So 18 is the same as 54 thirds. 54 thirds minus 32 thirds is 22 thirds. 22 thirds means 22 divided by 3, which to the nearest cent is $7.33.